Well, hello and happy lunch hour. Welcome to our 5th episode of Tech Tour Tuesdays. If you happen to miss the previous episode, click the link in the description to watch them now. My name is Ray and I serve as the Tech Media Director here at First Baptist Church, overseeing our production team. Today we're going to take a tour of how we live stream our services and events to Facebook, YouTube, and our website. Let's stop waiting and let's get to it. We're sitting in our production booth at the video station. We looked at online audio 2 weeks ago, and we looked at cameras last week. Now let's mix it all together to be able to send it out to live stream. On this computer, we use a software called OBS. OBS is a free software that is open source, meaning it is very editable with plugins. Now over time, with much research and trial and error, we have refined our systems to meet our current needs very well. So we need to make sure that we have sound, that we have video, that we have any transitions or title slides, and that ultimately we can send our live stream to several places at one time. So looking at OBS on this top left is a preview. That gives us a sample of what we're about to send out to live stream, so we can view different scenes we'll get to in a second, and we can make any adjustments before we push it over to our program, which is what goes out to our live stream. And the way that we get from preview to our program is by this transition button that will send it over to our program view instead of our preview view. In the bottom left corner over here is our scenes, which I'll get to in just a minute. And within each scene are sources, or it makes up those scenes. In the center here is our lower thirds, our title. So for example, Pastor Mark Carpenter, that would be a title, or Ryan Hunger, music pastor. That's what comes up when Mark is speaking or when Ryan is speaking at the beginning of a service. And then next beside that is our audio mixer on this. We have background music, and then we have our broadcast sound. That's kind of the two that we have able to mix right there. And then we can adjust our transitions that go back and forth. And over here on the far right, we have streaming, recording, and then we can get into our settings within OBS. So we have our sound that comes from our online audio computer over our network via NDI. In OBS, we pick up that audio signal. We receive that NDI message inside of OBS. Video is coming into our computer via USB cable. And the same within OBS, we route that camera feed to come in OBS, which you can see the camera feed here. Our transitions, our title slides, and any other graphics such as announcements, they're made beforehand, before any services or events, in a program called Canva, and then they're uploaded to the correct scene or the part of the service that we need them to be in. So now that we have sound, video, and transitions, now we need to build out the scenes to fit the needs of the specific service or event that we're doing. For example, for our Sunday morning worship service, this is currently the setup that we have going. So on the far bottom left, we have our scenes. And as you can tell, when I click on a scene, our sources change. So our sources are the actual individual elements that make up a specific scene. So for our announcements loop that we have going, when we start live, we have this going before service starts, just like we do in-house. On this scene, we have a watermark, which is our small logo in the bottom right-hand corner. We have our announcement source, which is all of our slides that we've made. So this is all of our announcement slides, and then we've set it into a slideshow and then made it to loop and automatically transition so that it just continues to cycle itself. We have sound. Now this is actually a backup sound in case our NDI goes bad. We can still get sound over to this computer. And then we have our background music. So we just play some background music during the countdown before our service starts. We have some background music going. So if we go to our countdown source, you see our scene changes just a little bit. We have our watermark. That's going to be on every one of them. But we've added in a new countdown. And so you can see it showed up here. That countdown is down in the top right-hand corner. And this is just a different countdown that we don't currently use, but a backup in case any other issues happen. We have our announcement source because it's still our looping announcements that we want to continue. We have our backup sound again, and then we have our background music. From our countdown, once the countdown hits 0, we transition to a welcome slide. Remember that transition here. We transition to a welcome. So we have our welcome scene, and we have our watermark, we have our welcome, we have background music, we have sound, but then you also now see broadcast sound. That is our in the eye coming in audio, and we need that on our welcome because that's when typically our music pastor Ryan would say welcome, and so we want that coming through our audio, so that audio source is now on that scene. From there, we would typically go to our camera feed because service has now started and we're ready to see. But I'm going to get to that in just a second. We also have message, which is very similar to the welcome, but instead of a welcome slide, it's a message slide. And our response slide is the same way, a response slide instead of a welcome or message slide. And our cameras are what is just a little bit different because we've added in our lower third. So like when Brother Mark gets up to do his message, we would put up a title for Mark. If I can give a little example here for us. And so as you can see there on the right side of the screen, a title came up for him. And so we'll do that for any of our guest speakers or anybody that speaks. We want them to have a title slide so that people know who it is that's talking. And then also on our camera source here, we have our watermark as usual. We have media shout. If you remember from when we did our camera setup and our lyrics, we talked about sending lyrics over to our live streaming via NDI. This is where that setup comes from. This is where we pull that NDI to, is here, and then we can transition it over. And we now have lyrics going to our live stream. Then we have our actual camera source. And so if I take that off, there is no camera feed anymore. That is our camera feed coming into OBS. We have our backup sound just in case. We have our broadcast sound that we want to use, that's number 1. And then we have background music just in case we need any background music going for any portion of the service. So those are all of our sources that we currently use and the scenes that we currently use. And of course, each one of these have had an image uploaded, the sizes customized, and then for example, our watermark, we've added filters to make it slightly opaque so that it's not so overwhelmingly bright in the right-hand corner. We don't want it to overpower, but we do want people to know that this is our material that we're using so that if it shows up anywhere, they know that it's First Baptist Church of Silsbee. Same with our sound. Everything has been, all the settings of these things have been refined so that it works well for our system. And that's a lot of that trial and error and research that I was talking about a little bit earlier. But when a typical volunteer sits down, it is set up like this so that we can almost just walk straight through service on this left-hand side. And we don't have to worry very much about sources and setting things up and all of that stuff. Now that our sources, scenes, everything is set up, ready to go for service, we would need to go live. And so we would make sure that our announcements loop is going. We want that to be live when people start to view our live stream. We want them to see this looping announcements. And then our first step is to hit start streaming. And yes, we want to start streaming. So we are now streaming live, but we are not streaming live to anywhere. We want to be streaming live to multiple places at the same time. And so the way that we are able to do that is we use a service that's called Restream. So inside of OBS, we have to set up so that when we hit start live streaming, that it sends this live stream to Restream. And so of course, there's a lot of settings within here that we've gone through and done lots of things with, but in Stream, we've come in and we've selected Restream as our service. And then we've connected OBS to our Restream account so that it's immediately recognizes when we hit start streaming, it's automatically sent to Restream. And I'm gonna open Restream now. So we've set up the settings in OBS so that when we hit start streaming, it sends it to Restream. So now if we open Restream, we will start to see our live stream right here on the right-hand side. And then some quick facts about our live stream. So there's our looping announcement loops. On the left side here is all the different places or destinations that we can currently send our live stream to. So we do our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and our website. Those are the three biggies. But then we also live stream to a few groups right now. And so on the left-hand side is where we can, so we update our title of the stream, and then we do our description, anything that is pertinent information for that specific live stream. And this is where we can toggle them all on or all off. And as soon as I toggle one of these on, it immediately starts sending this live stream that we're pushing to restream. It sends it to that destination. And so this allows us to send the one live stream to many places at the same time, whereas doing so without a service like Restream, our computer would not be able to handle, or our network could not handle sending the same live stream to multiple destinations at the same time. So we have to use kind of like a cloud-based service to be able to distribute our live stream to these multiple different places. Once we are live here on Restream, we can close out of that. We get back to OBS, we make sure we're ready to go for service or the event. And then throughout live streaming, we constantly monitor back and forth to Restream. We watch on phones or devices up in the production booth to make sure that everything looks and sounds correct. I just want to talk on maybe two main problems that if you have watched a live stream, you may have noticed one of these two things, or maybe three things. I'll give you three things. One of those is that someone is talking, but you don't see camera. You might still see this looping announcement, or you might see this welcome. And the reason why is because we see the welcome and we see the camera feed, but whoever was working the live stream computer for that morning forgot to hit the magic transition button, right? We want the view to be on the program mode so that people can see who is talking or singing. That is one problem that has happened in the past. Another one may be we can see, but we can't hear. And on our audio section here, we can see how we can accidentally mute our broadcast sound. And so that would allow no sound to go out. Even if we had beautiful sound coming off of our online audio computer into OBS, if we mute this button here, you would hear nothing at home. And so that has happened before, or for just the slider to be all the way down. A couple of mistakes there that could easily happen. And then the third would be you have a camera shot and stuff is happening, but you don't see anyone in the camera shot. And that's back to preview and program again, but on our camera monitor, where they think they have them in a camera shot, but that camera shot was not transitioned over to program view. And so just some minor things that you may have seen, but let you know why those problems occur just like that. Now you know. Live streaming has allowed us to stay connected to many of our church family members and has allowed us to introduce ourselves as a church to potential church family members. And this is all made possible by willing servant hearts. So would you consider serving on the production team? We have several areas and ways that you can serve. Also, would you continue praying over our current volunteer team and that more volunteers would step up to serve? And your faithfulness in giving financially allows our church family to make the most impact possible in our community with the gospel of Jesus. So thank you for your generosity, for your obedience to the Lord, and your servant heart. I look forward to serving with you, yes, you, regardless of your age, knowledge, experience. There is something that you can do up here. So I look forward to serving with you in our production booth, on our production team. Thank you for joining me today. Join me next Tuesday at 12 p.m. as we tour our production booth rack, which includes our chime system, our power system, amplifiers, wireless mics, and our hearing assist system, our stage setup, and our speaker rooms. Some of those are in secret places, so join in with me on that. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Have a great day. Goodbye.